winners? Let the pros show you how to make money. General Manager Al DeMarco, a regular contributor on Fox Sports, MSNBC, and Comcast Sports TV, brings over 25 years of handicapping experience to the table. CEO Steve Budin, the author of Bets, Drugs, and Rock and Roll, is the man responsible for creating the online betting industry. Together, they lead PickNation.com, your #1 source for winners.
Can the Atlanta Falcons and the Houston Texans remain undefeated? Can the Cleveland Browns finally find a win? It really doesn't matter, guys, because the only thing that counts is which team can make you money today. Hi, everyone. Al DeMarco here along with Steve Budin, and this is the Countdown to Kickoff show, the only nationally televised show that breaks down all your NFL top games from a point spread perspective. Proud to be joining you here on FoxSports.com for a 6th consecutive season. And Steve, it's been an interesting first 5 weeks of the NFL campaign. Listen, I've said many times that what has shaped my skills as a handicapper, and I've been in this business for 25 years, is the fact that I used to be a sports reporter. So what I learned from covering teams, being around players, coaches, managers, in the locker rooms, on the field, that has gone into how I handicap games. You, on the other hand, have a totally different perspective that you bring to this show, being a former bookmaker.
Right, so you're the professional gambler. I'm the former largest bookmaker in the world, and although me and Al may see things on opposite sides of the spectrum, although we may be from opposite sides of the track, we share a business philosophy, and that is integrity, that is honesty, and that is transparency, and you can see that on PickNation.com. We also share a betting philosophy, and that is you don't take your money and spread it all out on the table. You find that one game. You use your opinion, I use my crews, the syndicates, my sources, and we formulate a long-term strategy because, let's face it, we're not in this for one day, we're not in this for 1 week, we're all lifers, and you got to find that one game. That's the way to do it.
Oh, you bring up an excellent point. Listen, guys, in my youth, if there were 20 games on the board, I'd find a way to bet 21 sides. That's how it was. But as I've matured, as I lost money, now that I've made money, I realize you find that one game and that's the game you unload on. And maybe it's one of the games we're going to talk about today. Guys, first game on tap today, we're going to take a look at a rematch. Cleveland and Cincinnati, first time these two met. Cincinnati won, but it was a push. Cincinnati giving up a late touchdown. It ended up as a 7-point game. Today, the Bengals -1. I think Cincinnati was one of the biggest disappointments, the most shocking disappointments last week. I don't understand how they came up and played so poorly at home against Miami. I'm still not convinced the Dolphins are that good, but after reeling off 3 straight wins, Andy Dalton and the offense was rolling, they just couldn't get the job done at home.
Every time these two teams play each other, Al, it's a freaking war. And usually when it's a war, I always look to take extra bullets. Last time they played, I took the 7 in Cincinnati. It was a push, like kissing your sister. Not this time. This time I think we're getting a value because Cincinnati played so badly against the Dolphins on both sides of the ball. Look, they were 7 points at home. They're supposed to be 4 now. They're 1. I'm going to lay that 1. I think it's a value with the Cincinnati Bengals.
And I agree with you as well because, you know, I look at this Cleveland team and everybody says, wow, they played well against the Giants. Really? Did they? I mean, they were up 14-0. And then the Giants scored 41 of the next 47 points in the game, guys. I mean, Eli Manning and the Giants just ran through them like Swiss cheese. In fact, they had 502 total yards in that game against this Cleveland defense, and 243 of them came on the ground. So I think Cincinnati has the recipe for success here. They've got to establish the run. Andy Dalton has to rebound after a poor game. He certainly has the receivers, and he's taking on a Cleveland Browns team that does not put a lot of pressure on opposing quarterbacks. So, with Andy Dalton, the Bengals have won each of the last 3 meetings. They're on a 7-1 straight-up run in the series, and Cleveland's only covered 3 of their last 14 at home. I'm with you. Great price, and that's one of the things we look at. You as a bookmaker, me as a handicapper. You don't hold it against a team for how poorly they played the week before, even if you had money on them. Instead, you look at whether or not there's value, as you said, and the Bengals are a value play. Before we go any further, guys, we want to talk about a special fantasy football league contest that we've been running at PickNation.com the past 2 years. $500 in total prize money at stake. And here's the best thing, guys. It is absolutely free to enter. And Steve, as we always say, it's instant gratification.
And if you've entered the contest before, don't think you can't enter it again. We've got a lot of guys that have won it and placed multiple times, so it's a very fun contest, and it's not your grandmother's contest. It doesn't take till the end of the year to figure out who the winner is. It's week by week, and every week is another opportunity to win.
And it's free to enter, guys. That's the most important thing. $500 of total prize money, and it doesn't cost you a thing to enter. So as Steve said, if you played last week and you didn't win, or if you did win, play again. Let me tell you, last week, a guy with the screen name, he entered his account name as Abel W.
Finally got somebody whose name we can mention on TV.
Yes, little inside joke there. But this guy, Abel W., his quarterbacks last week, he had kind of a good day. He had Drew Brees and Andrew Luck. All they did was combine for 732 yards passing and 6 touchdowns. Oh, and by the way, he picked Ahmad Bradshaw, who last Sunday decided to run for a career-high 200 yards. So he won the contest by almost 30 total points. I think that was the biggest margin of victory in the 2 years that we've been running this free contest in conjunction with DraftStreet.com. But again, free to enter, $500, total prize money at stake. All they've got to do, go to PickNation.com, click on the ads, you can't miss them, and guys, enter the contest. It's for free.
Yeah, I'm sick of losing. I'm going after it hard this week. I'm getting somebody to help me. I'm going after the win today.
Which means he'll probably finish in at least the top 200. Okay, next game on the board, one of the undefeated teams, the Atlanta Falcons. Really lackluster performance, yet we both backed them last week. Or actually, I backed them. You thought they'd go over at Washington. I had the winner. The Falcons did rally for the win and cover in Washington last week. Problem with them is, at the halftime of that game, Falcons, you looked at the score and you looked at the turnover department. They had 2 costly turnovers in the first half. That's why they weren't able to pull away early. They benefited from RG3 going out of the game. But that is 2 straight poor performances for the Falcons. They needed that miraculous comeback to win in the final minute at home against Carolina. They did not play well last week at Washington, but they got the perfect opponent here. At home, the Oakland Raiders coming off a bye.
Yeah, and I say it all the time. Football to me is a game of quarterbacks, and in this game, there's only one quarterback worth a mention. That's Matt Ryan, Matty Ice. When you add to that the fact that the Oakland Raiders don't play well on the road, and the Atlanta Falcons, very tough at home, especially against the spread, dominating against the spread. You could see why I start to like Atlanta here. Now, they are the biggest favorite on the board. And if you remember last week, we had 2 big favorites on the board, the Giants and San Fran, and I told everybody, stay away from the teasers. You don't need them. You know, you just lay the points here and you'll win. I feel the same way with the Falcons this week.
Yeah, I think Atlanta is really going to get it going. Oakland's secondary is poor. Their pass rush is pathetic. This is a Raider team that is 0-9 straight up and against the spread coming off their last 9 byes, and they've lost those games by an average of 15 points. Meanwhile, the Falcons are going into their bye week just the opposite, 8-1 against the spread their last 9 games prior to a bye. And again, I go back to that Washington game. You see a close game. You see the Falcons had to rally in the fourth quarter to win the game. But if you look at the box score, you see the dynamics were there for a blowout. It just didn't get manufactured. They had a time of possession advantage of 37 minutes to 23. They had 421 yards. Playing at home, perfect conditions in the Georgia Dome. I think they just pulverized them. I'm surprised you didn't like the over. You generally always take the Falcons over. 48.5 points. With this defense of Oakland, this game might go over as well.
Learned my lesson last week. I'm laying the big wood.
Okay. And by the way, guys, the Falcons have covered 18 of their last 25 against the spread at home. Baltimore and Dallas. Cowboys, when last seen, it was a pathetic performance on Monday night against the Chicago Bears a couple of weeks ago. They are coming off a bye. Meanwhile, Baltimore, well, I think they slept their way through last week's game at Kansas City. It was a 9-6 win, and that's about the nicest thing I can say about the Ravens' performance in that contest. Ravens again showed that this defense is not the Baltimore defense of old. They could not stop Kansas City running the ball, gave up 214 rushing yards in the game. Kansas City actually had the ball 8 more minutes. A lot of support for Dallas, I think, in the betting public out there, thinking the Cowboys have got to rebound. Well, they have to rebound. That doesn't necessarily mean they will rebound.
If you're going to bet on or against Dallas at this stage of the season, you really ought to get your head examined. I mean, you never know who's going to show up from week to week. And Al, I'm sick of blaming Tony Romo, sick of blaming Des Bryant or the running game or the defense. I'm blaming the coach. Jason Garrett, if you're out there listening, my friend, you're a nice guy, but you are a failure. You have failed to get this team that is deep in talent to play at the next level. And look, on the other side, Baltimore, I'm not so in love with them either. 2 weeks ago, couldn't cover against Cleveland at home, went into KC, couldn't cover there either. I'm actually leaning towards Dallas here, but I'm going to buy up from 3.5 to 4. Al, 4 is a very powerful number. We talk about it all the time. Touchdown minus a field goal. Yep, that's 4. And that's why it's such a big number.
Now, see, I think the exact opposite of you. And we don't talk about these games before we start doing the show, guys. I think Baltimore is to play because we are getting value because of their inability to get the job done against the Patriots, against the Browns, against Kansas City. So I would buy down from 3.5 to 3 in this game, noting that the Cowboys have only covered 3 of their last 14 games. I do think that Jason Garrett is overmatched. And you've got a Cowboys team, look great. Season opener, won at New York. Second week at Seattle, didn't even show up, got crushed in that game. So I like Baltimore in this one. Philly, Detroit coming up. But guys, listen, want to talk about something that is unique to us at PickNation.com. A lot of people say, well, what are the big bettors in Vegas getting down on today? How about the betting crews in Vegas? Well, we have the information because of our sources in Vegas, and we put it out there for you. It's called the Insider Money Move Service.
Right, so we have actual scouts in the Vegas hotels where the lines are moving, and it's important because just watching the lines move, you don't know if the public is moving those lines or if the Sharpies are moving those lines. A lot of these services will flat out lie and tell you they have the steam, they have the hot plays. It's just not true. We've been bringing it to you now for close to 2 years, and the proof is in the pudding. Just look at the record. It's on the site. It's pretty unbelievable.
And guys, listen, 7 days of that service normally costs $179. Here's your special promotion this week only here to all of you watching this video. $5 this week for the Insider Money Move service. 7 days for $5. You see the coupon code flashing here underneath the screen. It is Insider5. You go to the Insider Money Moves page, and by the way, at the Insider Money Moves page, I've got a video you can watch that really gives you an in-depth explanation about how the service works. Give it a shot. 7 days for $5. Insider5 is that money-saving discount coupon code. That'll save you $174 off the purchase of a 7-day package. Next game here before we take our first break is going to be Philadelphia and Detroit. You know, the Eagles blew the game at Pittsburgh last week because Michael Vick once again had fumbleitis. This Detroit team coming off a bye, everybody thought the Lions were going to be so good this year, and this is a team that has been absolutely pathetic. 1-3 straight up, 0-4 against the spread.
Yeah, both teams disappointed so far with the way that they play, and probably both teams looking at this game at this point of the season as a pivotal game. Now, we know the Eagles, they play way better at home than they play on the road, but 4 points, Al, is a little too much for me to give here. I'm going to go with Detroit plus the 4 points.
And here's the thing I also think about Philadelphia in this contest. You know, with Michael Vick, 11 turnovers this season, 4 of them coming in the red zone. The defense, which last year led the league in sacks with 50, well, through 5 games this season, they only have 6 sacks. You don't put enough pressure with that secondary covering Calvin Johnson and Matthew Stafford, I'd be really worried taking Philadelphia. But what I like in this game is actually the over. Even though the Eagles have only scored 80 points in 5 games so far this season, I think Detroit's defense is pathetic. I think the Eagles get their offense cranking. 47.5, 48 points. I would play it over and skip the side in this game.
Detroit's also going to score and score in bunches, so that's going to push Philadelphia to get into their offensive game quicker than normal.
And remember, the Eagles have only covered 4 times the last 15 times they've been laying points at home. Not exactly a money-making proposition. Well, guys, that'll do it for the first half of the show. We will be right back in just a minute. More games to break down. Countdown to Kickoff show continues here on FoxSports.com. Do you want to know who the big bettors have on today's card? How about the betting syndicates in Vegas? Do you want to know what their top plays are today? Well, guys, you can get them at PickNation.com, courtesy of the Insider Money Move service. Listen, a lot of guys claim to have late-breaking steam moves. A lot of guys in this business claim to have inside information. It's all marketing. It's all hype. It's all BS. It doesn't exist. Insider Money Move service, however, we've got our sources in the top Vegas casinos passing on the plays of the biggest bettors and the big betting syndicates syndicates to us, and we provide them to you, courtesy of the Insider Money Moves service. And I've got a great opportunity for you. Normally, 7 days of the service costs $179. I'm going to give it to you for just $5 using the coupon code you see below at picknation.com, Insider5. You enter that when prompted in your shopping cart. It'll save you $174. That's right, guys. 7 days of service. Just $5. Insider Money Moves. Get it now. Use the coupon code over at picknation.com. Welcome back, everyone, to the Countdown to Kickoff program. Al DeMarco here along with Steve Budin. This is the only nationally televised show to break down all your games on an NFL Sunday from a point spread perspective. First game here we're going to take a look at in the second half of the program. New England and Seattle. To say the Patriots' offense has been humming would be a little bit of an understatement. 83 points, 1,024 yards total offense the past 2 games. But what has really impressed me is the fact that this team has suddenly found a new identity. This is a New England team that can run the ball. I mean, last week in the game at home against Denver, they had their most rushing yards, over 200, biggest total since 1978 when Sam Van Cunningham was doing the running for him. I mean, this guy, Stephen Ridley, has really had a great start to the season, 3 times over 100 yards.
Yeah, I mean, and to me, like I said earlier, football is a game of quarterbacks, and obviously New England has the big advantage here in the quarterback department. But at the end of the day, I've been banking on this Seattle defense, Al, since week 1. Loved them under last week. Love them under again. Now, I know betting the under, not a sexy bet, but there is nothing more sexy than cashing a ticket. So at the end of the day, you try to win the game, and this game, I think, is going under.
That's an interesting thought on this contest. I hadn't really considered the total because naturally when you think about the Patriots, you think high-scoring games. Right. I just gave you what they've done recently. 31-12 overrun for Bill Belichick's Patriots. Seattle certainly has the defense. It's been reflected in a 5-0 underperformance this season, but I think it's not only the defense, it's the fact that the offense has been miserable. It's Marshawn Lynch running the ball, which eats up time on the clock, and then it's also the fact that, you know, Russell Wilson has played like a rookie quarterback you would expect him to play.
But they don't just play great defense. When they're at home, they turn it up a notch. Just ask Aaron Rodgers. He spent a lot of time running for his life.
The difference between the Patriots game in Seattle and that Packers game in Seattle was this, as far as I'm concerned. Aaron Rodgers was playing behind an offensive line that was leaky in terms of protection. That's why he was sacked 8 times. And he didn't have a ground game to give him any support because Cedric Benson was worthless. This is a Patriots team that has more offensive weaponry. Tom Brady at the peak performance. And Tom Brady is not scared about having to go to the Pacific Northwest. Oh, gee, I got to go play at CenturyLink Field. The 12th man is really going to get me. Yeah, you know, Tom's married to Giselle. He has a lot of worries in the world, like me and you should as well. You know, I think this is a cheap, cheap price because a lot of people have bought into the Seattle mystique.
I see that.
And that's why I would go ahead. I'd buy down the half point if you had 4.5 or 4, and I'd ride New England in this particular contest and not even look back or think about it twice. And by the way, the Patriots have covered 11 of their last 16 as a road favorite against NFC squads. Steve, before we get to the Arizona-Buffalo game, which I figure we might as well talk about this
Everybody
now because
can't wait for that.
I mean, you might be falling asleep before we talk about that game. If you have a mercy killing in the NFL, it would be the Arizona-Buffalo game, I think. But listen, let's talk about the Fantasy Football League contest we run over at picknation.com. $500 of total prize money at stake. We upped the ante a couple of weeks ago. It's been a huge response, and it's a free contest to enter.
And just keep entering it over and over again because it doesn't matter how many times you enter. The contest is free. It's on picknation.com. You'll see the big ad for Draft Street there. Just click through, pick out your team, a couple of quarterbacks, a couple of running backs. You pick out a defense. It's a great competition. I haven't gotten anywhere close to the money yet, but that'll all change this week.
Yeah, right. Okay, but listen, the bottom line is this. You can enter for free, $500 in total prize money at stake, and the contest is over after the Monday night game, guys. On Tuesday, you're going to know who finished in the money. So check it out right now at picknation.com, free Fantasy Football League contest. Next game is going to be your contest between Arizona and Buffalo. You know, the good thing I can say about Arizona is that they had a couple extra days rest after Kevin Kolb needed it, getting sacked 9 times in that Thursday night loss 2 weeks ago at St. Louis. But they're coming home. It's an injury-riddled team. Lost both their top running backs in this contest as Ryan Williams is now out for the season. Beanie Wells out another 4 to 5 weeks. But you have the elephant in the window, which is the Buffalo Bills defense. or should we say lack of defense. I mean, the Bills have given up 97 points and 1,201 yards the last 2 games. Granted, they played against the Patriots and 49ers. I can understand that. But even Arizona should be able to score some points here.
If you're a believer in Arizona, this is a great spot to bet them. Obviously, they had the lackluster performance against the Dolphins. Then they go ahead and lose to the Rams in St. Louis. So you got a lot of value here after coming off of those 2 games if you believe in Arizona. What I believe is that Arizona has an opportunistic defense. And that goes along with Ryan Fitzpatrick because he loves any opportunity that he can get to throw the ball into the defender's hands. He led the league in giveaways last year. He's got 8 already this year. I see that trend continuing here. I like Arizona in this spot.
And listen, the Bills have only covered 4 of their last 14 games. Meanwhile, the Cardinals have covered 5 of their last 7 at home. And, this Arizona defense is for real. And the biggest thing going, I think, for the Cardinals in their advantage here is the fact that Buffalo doesn't rush the quarterback. And after Kevin Cobb's been sacked 17 times in the games against...
It's a big problem. They can't protect him.
Right. I mean, without a ground game that can give you any type of support, that's going to be key. Listen, the top 3 running backs for Arizona coming into this game, they've combined for 10 yards on 15 carries for the season. That's how desperate they are to get a running back and to get a ground game going. But I do think minus the 5 points. But you know what I always say, you don't put good money on bad teams, and this is a bad game with 2 bad teams. San Francisco and the New York Giants. Polar opposites here, guys.
Right.
Now you're looking at the game. We know the history. 49ers took the regular season contest. 49ers blew the playoff game last year, cost them a shot at the Super Bowl. I think the most interesting thing in this game is how the line has just powered up because the public has just jumped all over the 49ers. Can't blame them after the blowout, shutout win 34-0 against the New York Jets on the road last week, destroying the Buffalo Bills at home where they ran for over 300 yards. Passed for over 300 yards in that contest. This line was 4.5 Tuesday, Wednesday. It went up to 6.5 by Wednesday night. I mean, public is just all over the Niners.
Well, the public knows that Brandon Jacobs is back. They know that Mario Manningham also wants to get a piece of his ex-team. But to me, the Giants here are all banged up, and you have to ask yourself, can the Giants sack machine get going again? Can they deal with the San Francisco running game that's going to continue to come at them all game long? And most of all, can they deal with what I think is the best defense in the league on the San Francisco side? That's why we see this line going to 6.5 points. I look at the total of 46, and while most people are keying in on defense with both of these squads, I think they're going to score and score plentiful. I like over in this game.
I don't really have an opinion. I got to be honest with you on the total. I do like San Francisco. I think San Francisco is going to come out and try to strike early and often in this game. A, because they're in payback, and B, we have seen repeatedly this season how poorly the Giants played defensively in the first half of the game. Found themselves down at Dallas against Dallas at home. Found themselves down at home against Tampa Bay. Last week, found themselves down 14-0 at home against Cleveland. This defense is not playing up to its past reputation, and no sacks the past 2 weeks. So I think maybe a first half play on the Niners. I like the Niners in the game. Don't really have much of an opinion, though, on the total.
Giants seem to be one of those teams that need to have the chips down before they start to play. It's unbelievable. That's why they gave up the first game last year against San Francisco, only to come back and win the second one this year. Probably the same thing happens again this year.
And the 49ers have had this one circled on the calendar for weeks, and I like the fact that they didn't get caught looking ahead to this one because they took care of business against a bad Buffalo team last week. We are going to talk about one of the other marquee games on today's card. It's going to be the Houston-Green Bay contest in just a moment. But first, let's talk about the Insider Money Move service. One of the things that I always get a great laugh about in this business is when I hear guys talking about, oh, we've got the late steam moves or we've got inside information. It's total malarkey and BS, guys. We at PickNation.com, we've got the access because of our scouts at the Vegas casinos to know what the big bettors are getting down on in Vegas and also what the betting syndicates, the crews out there are getting down on, and we provide it to you courtesy of the Insider Money Move service.
And that's the most important thing you said. A lot of these gamblers out there, they'll watch our odds service on PickNation.com because it's a great odds service. It's instant. And they'll see the lines move, and they'll become wise guys. They'll think that they can follow the moves like the wise guys do and make money. But the big problem with that is lines move for two reasons. One, because the public is in love with them, and two, because a Sharpie bets it. If you don't know which move is because of the Sharpie and which one's because of the public, you're dead in the water. You're what we call a follower, and you can't win.
Exactly. And guys, with the Insider Money Move service, normally 1 week costs you $179. But if you use the coupon code, which you see at the bottom of the screen, Insider5, you can get 7 days for $5 little dollars, guys. That's how easy it is. $5 for 7 days. Use the coupon code Insider5. It will save you $174. And when you go to the Insider Money Move page at picknation.com, I've got a video there and a full explanation really of how the service works. It's not for everybody. We'll be the first to admit that. But hey, for $5, you can check it out for 7 days. And you can see the records here, guys, from the past 2 months, from way back in October of 2010 when it started. It has consistently made followers of its service big time money.
And when you do get it, make sure you sign up for all the different ways that you can receive these games, because you want to be sure. Some days there's 10 games, some games there's 5 games, some days there's only 2. You want to make sure you always get that access. So sign up for all the different ways to receive the Insider Money Moves.
And like I said, check out the video on the Insider Money Moves page, and it'll give you all the details. Again, Insider5 will save you $174. 7 days of the Insider Money Move service for just $5 over at picknation.com. Steve, the Houston Texans, everybody and their brother bet them last Monday night. Can't blame them. I mean, the New York Jets hadn't shown you anything. Texans just simply did not bring their A game. They toyed with the Jets, and I think that's a sign of a young team that's going definitely up the mountain, but a team that doesn't have that killer instinct yet. And maybe perhaps they got caught looking ahead to this game. Even though the Packers lost last week, blowing the 21-3 lead at Indianapolis, losing to Andrew Luck and the Colts, you know, you just have to be careful when you got Aaron Rodgers on the other side of the field.
You know, going into that game against the Jets, me and probably everybody else saw Houston probably as the best team in the NFL at that moment. But then after the lackluster performance, like you said, against the depleted Jet team, to me, they've lost their air of invincibility. And now I look at Green Bay, same deal, not the scoring machine they were last year. Now, all gamblers out there, they're going to look at this game and see two things. Matt Schaub and Aaron Rodgers, they're going to immediately assume that these guys are going to light it up. They're going to bet over. That's why this line is extended to 47.5. I'm going against them using the power of the line. I'm going under the 47.5 here.
It's interesting. I can certainly see the under here because I think the Packers, especially with Greg Jennings still hurt, with so many of their offensive key players banged up and bruised, they're going to have problems. And I think Aaron Rodgers playing behind that, as I noted earlier, a leaky offensive line that has seen him sacked 21 times in 5 games already this season. Even though Houston lost one of their key linebackers, Brian Cushing, in the Monday night game to a torn ACL, gone for the season, I think Houston's going to bring it here defensively. I can certainly see a lower scoring game than most people would anticipate. At the same time, I think I got to go with Houston on the side here because at 3.5, 4 points, I think it's a bargain basement price, and I think Houston should definitely be laying more in this contest. Well, guys, that'll do it for this week's edition of the Countdown to Kickoff show, and we will catch you again next week on FoxSports.com.